voice when you sleep next to me. I still feel your touch in my dream. Forgive me my weakness, but I don't know why. Without you, it's hard to survive. 'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling. Every time we kiss, I swear I could fly. Can't you feel my heart beat fast? I want this to last. Need you by my side. 'Cause every time we touch,
I got a big floppy wiener to dangle in your face.
The original Half-Life is an interesting game to say the least. It was the first ever game made by the gaming juggernaut Valve and was a smash hit among gamers. Try saying that 3 times fast. This game would pave the way for future FPS games that were in a similar style, and I played and beat it for the first time this year. And as a huge fan of TF2, Gmod, and story-based games, I felt like I should talk about the game, and possibly its sequel. What I liked, what I didn't like, and what I hated. The good, the bad, the ugly. With that out of the way, let's start the video. In Half-Life, you play as Gordon Freeman, a scientist who works on portal technology at the Black Mesa facility. One day, while on the job performing an experiment, a horrible accident called a resonance cascade occurs and multiple hostile alien species are spawned into Earth. It's now up to you to close the portal, make it out of the facility alive, and survive both the alien and government enemies trying to eliminate you. That's basically the gist of the whole story, but there is apparently more going on behind the scenes. But to be honest, I couldn't tell what the hell was going on besides the basic shit. The story might feel really messy, but the writing and dialogue is really good. The entire science team has the same voice and the same models, yet they all feel like different characters. They are more than just copy and pasted 3D models. G-Man is also an interesting character, and I really like how he's just hidden in the game at random moments. Then he just shows up at the very end and basically threatens Gordon. It's some awesome shit. The enemies and their AI is really good too. There are a lot of different enemies, but my favorite had to be the crab zombies and the lightning monsters. They were so fun to fight, even if they were a pain in the ass a lot. Every single level in this game is good. The map is perfectly constructed, all the levels are super memorable, whether that be for better or for worse, to say the least. The guns and weapons are super awesome too. There is of course the iconic crowbar, a shotgun, and a revolver, which oh my lord, I love the revolver, it's so amazing. And those are just my favorites. There are so many more. They all feel great to use and feel like they do an appropriate amount of damage. The sound effects that go along with them are mind-numbingly amazing and make me feel like busting a fat one all over my $20,000 gaming setup. They are so good. Also, a lot of people complain about the platforming segments in the game, but I'm not gonna lie, I actually enjoyed them. They weren't the best, of course, but they sure as hell aren't as bad as people say they are. Now it's time to do what I do best, bitch and moan and cry like a big ol' stupid baby man. So, if you're a major Half-Life fan and just can't stand listening to some shitty B-tier reviewer on the internet, then I'd suggest you click off the video now. So to start off, the movement in this game is whack as hell, it feels incredibly wobbly and floaty, it feels like you're really not in control, it also feels like there's a very slight delay before your movements. This is especially bad in the platforming sections I brought up earlier, and when fighting enemies that have a very large range of attack. The soldier enemies, while fun to play against, are put in some of the worst spots and are way too overpowered. It's some horrible game design, to be completely honest. The placement of these enemies pissed me off so much. Speaking of poor game design, every single part of Zen. This entire section of the game is incredibly awful and is so bad that I'm shocked anyone at Valve was able to test this without having a stroke or vomiting onto the PC and in the process electrocuting the poor soul who was testing it. Rest in peace, Valve beta tester, you will be missed. I'm really not trying to judge the textures of this game, especially since this is a very old game, so expecting anything close to what we have today would just be unfair. But dear God, the textures do not do these sections any favors. They're very, very ugly and very, very distracting. They look like someone vomited onto the map. The enemy placement and how they interact with the map is also very messy and a major pain in the ass, and not in a good way. The giant spider thing is a pain in the ass and I hate it. Also, maybe I'm just a stupid little shit, but this entire section is very confusing. The other sections and levels had hints and sometimes full-on answers to what you were supposed to do, but in the Zen levels there is absolutely nothing. This makes the level a nightmare. The platforming sections also do this. The enemies, placement and movement of platforms, the gravity, all of it is the perfect ingredients for a disgusting and frustrating shit show of a level. The final boss fight is also really weird, confusing, and bad. So the final fight is against the Nylaph, a giant weird baby creature alien thing. I don't know. You must destroy the crystals around the map that create a force field of sorts while avoiding his attacks and the attacks of enemies that spawn around the map. Some of these attacks include a really annoying ability to transport you to a different map with more different annoying enemies. Yay! After getting through the slog of a fight, the final part of the fight is just jumping on these really floaty and glitchy jump pads and shooting the Nylaph in the head. This is incredibly difficult to do in general, but it's even harder when you don't have the rocket launcher. This game's final boss is really awful, which is a real shame because the final boss is usually the final impact the game has on a player. But in the case of Half-Life, I really wouldn't say the final boss is the final impact. After beating the boss and therefore beating the game, Gordon Freeman gets pushed into the ending of the game where the mysterious G-Man has a nice and interesting conversation with you. After congratulating you and praising you, he gives you a job offer. If you reject his offer and choose to not take the job, he sends you into a, quote, battle you cannot win.
Well, it looks like we won't be working together. No regrets, Mr. Freeman.
This is the bad ending, and also the non-canon ending. If you take his offer though, Gordon is thrown into a deep sleep, waiting to be reawakened by the G-Man, waiting for his time to come. This is of course the good ending, and the canon ending, if you could even call this a good ending in the first place. It's more or less the more interesting and preferable ending. It's a really good final scene and finishes up the game really well, leaving just enough mystery to keep the player guessing. It's super awesome, dude. With that being said, I've basically covered everything I wanted to cover in this video. Does the original Half-Life hold up? Well, truth be told, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. It's both. I'd say overall I enjoyed playing the game, especially while live streaming it, which you should totally join next time I stream. It would be really cool and awesome, guys, I swear. But I also had very many problems with the game. I liked Half-Life. It's a solid 7 out of 10 and definitely deserves all the praise it gets. I wonder if the critically acclaimed sequel, which set the gaming industry ablaze, will hold up. But that is a question for a different time. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.